Hi, welcome to Bot Brack, Box on the Box Rock and Celluloid. So I'm continuing my James Bond frenzy. I promise it'll be over probably sometime next week. There's a couple more things I want to do. Celebrate the return of 007 in No Time to Die. So I thought I'd look at the women of Bond. We've got 25 films now, 25 different. We just call them Bond girls, but I think Bond women is more appropriate now. So it'll start with Dr. No with Ursula Andress. I think it's difficult to imagine now the impact Ursula Andress had in the role at the time. That amazing outfit she wears, her first appearance with the knife. And, I think you sort of forget, although, she's kind of, the damsel in distress near the end. She's a pretty feisty character when she says about how she poisoned the guy who, I suppose, influences he's raped, if I remember right. And Honey Child Rider, someone who can take care of herself and provide for herself. She's great. I think it's actually dubbed. This is quite a common thing with the early Bond films, so I suppose that's quite interesting that the kind of female actresses' voices are kind of taken from them, which would, in kind of feminist film theory, I guess would be an interesting thing to discuss. But anyway, Ursula Andress, great Bond woman, and setting the template for the rest of the series, really. Russia with Love, Daniela Bianchev. Didn't realise how young she was, actually. She was only 21 when she did Russia with Love, and she's pretty effective. She didn't have much of an acting career after that. Bond, the role of a Bond woman can always be kind to the actresses. It's much better now. But although she's not the calibre of Ursula Andress, she's effective in the role. I've always liked her character, and she plays off Connery really well. Then you've got, of course, Honor Blackman, Pussy Galore, probably the strongest Bond woman up until this point, a professional woman with her own business. Your charms are lost on me, Mr. Bond. But it's typically Bond will turn her. I think that's one of the things with this film. Pussy Galore's on Goldfinger's side, and then what Bond does in films, he often turns the female character as an asset, as an ally. I think that's one of the things. People think Bond uses women in Bond films, and he does, but he's a spy and he uses any assets he can find, and this is why a lot of the supporting female characters, the sacrificial lamb, often die because they're actually on the side of the villain. He turns them. This isn't the case with Pussy Galore. Great Bond character. And then Domino in Thunderball, played by French actress Claudine Auger. Again, she was dubbed. Very beautiful. And Domino's quite interesting. She's the first Bond. She's not in cahoots, but she's kind of under the spell of the villain. So she's kind of coerced him, and he's wealthy, powerful man, and he's kind of got her under controlled, coercive. And this is a common theme of Bond films. Is the female character is often under coercive control of the villain. And then Bond comes in and kind of, I suppose he coerces to the other side by being Bond, again, switching her allegiances to use as an asset. But, they get together at the end of the film, which is one of the fun things of the early Bond films. I always liked Claudine Auger. I always thought Domino was an interesting character. You Only Live Twice, the women in that, the Bond, it feels like Aki's the Bond girl, and then she gets murdered by the Spectre, a great poison scene, and then she actually becomes a sacrificial lamb, and then Kissy Suzuki doesn't really have much of a character. The only interesting thing about her is she's a kind of one of Tiger's agents. So this is the first instance where one of the female characters is kind of an agent working for our side, as it were. So I think Kissy Suzuki gets to kick ass a bit, but a character she's probably the most unmemorable Bond girl. It's a shame, really. That's a missed opportunity with that film. And then Majesty's Secret Service, and you've got one of the great all-time Bond women. The first time, aside from Honda Blackman, obviously they cast an Avengers, Emma Peel, Diana Rigg, but she's a proper woman lady, and Diana Rigg's great in the role, and I think they cast her, very experienced actress, Shakespearean actress, really to kind of shore up things, because Lazenby didn't have any acting experience. But obviously she needed an actress of a great calibre, because, she was to be Mrs. James Bond. And Diana Rigg pulls off of a plum, and then there's a great scene where she rescues Bond in the kind of stock car bit, and she drives, and you can see his admiration for her character, her strength, and her ability to get out there. So great performance by Diana Rigg. Then Diamonds Are Forever, the first American Bond woman, Jill St. John. I've always liked the Tiffany Case character, although it has to be said, she's quite good fun, but she's kind of treated a bit patronisingly, very patronisingly, showing a little, is it too much cheek, Miss Case, or something Blofeld says to her. And she's treated a bit stupidly, particularly in the climax, but I've always liked her character. I always liked a kind of sassy New York quality. I like Jill St. John. She's got a good chemistry with Sean. And then one of the all-time Bond women for me, Jane Seymour in Solitaire and Live and Let Die. Again, pretty dodgy, really. Again, under the control of the villain, coercively controlled, the threat of violence, and then effectively Roger, he takes a virginity under, what's the word I'm looking for? He lies to her, really, which is really dodgy, but very dodgy. But she's a great, obviously Jane Seymour's a very beautiful actress, and the naivety of the character, the innocence of the character is really good. So always one of my favourites. Then you've got Brett Eklund's Mary Goodnight, and Brett Eklund, stunning 70s beauty, very, very well known. But again, the character's thin written, and she's patronised. Goodnight's pretty stupid. And that's kind of, she's supposed to be an agent as well. It was a great opportunity for Goodnight to get in the action and help Bond, in his mission, and somehow she's more of a hindrance than a help. But I don't think that's not Brett Eklund's fault as an actress. She's been badly written, and then she's also wearing a bikini, and then Bond's kind of I forget his kind of quip, his reference to that, but it's kind of the Tiffany Case thing again, like Blofeld, and that's a sort of poor element of that film. So then you've got Barbara Bach, agent. I didn't used to like Barbara Bach's character as much, but I've come to appreciate it more. I think Anya Amasavaz is a really cool character. She is an agent. She's an equal with Bond. There's a good repartee between them. It takes them. They don't get together to the end of the film, and obviously she wants to avenge the death of her lover, who has died at Bond's hand. And that scene features one of the best scenes in a Bond film, and one of Roger's best scenes, where she, finds out that, and it sort of interrogates him, that he is the man who's killed her lover, and he kind of goes, you know what it's like in this business, so to speak. But yeah, Barbara Bach, really good. And again, the first, obviously got Kissy Suzuki, but the first properly rounded female agent character. And that was at a time they're trying to address the sexism of the Bond films. And that carries on in Moonraker. Lois Charles, Dr. Goodhead is CIA, but she's also a doctor, very intelligent woman. She doesn't get together until the end of the film with James. Take me around the world one more time, James. But she kind of gets overlooked. Her character's not as I don't think she's as strong in the role as Barbara Bach is, but again, she's quite realistic and believable as a doctor. If they cast, someone who's too like a model, like what they did with Denise Richards, we'll come to that. it wouldn't, it wouldn't be as believable in some ways that she's a doctor. Not at that time. I don't want to be, sort of, who knows what doctors should or shouldn't look like. But I think that character, probably works better than I think, really. Then you've got For Your Eyes Only, Carol Bouquet, very good. Melina Havelock, wants to avenge her death of her parents. I think this is probably the most kind of action packed Bond woman at this point, and she's right in there in action. It's in the diving sequence, in the assault on the monastery at the end. She's got proper plot motivation, and again, a bit too young for Roger, but she's very, I think kind of she gets forgotten about a bit, but she's very, very good aside from, being beautiful, but she's just a very, very well written character, Melina Havelock, and she's become, it's a shame For Your Eyes Only is a bit kind of met for me, but I like the attempt to get back to basics, but the successful things of it are Roger's, one of his best performances of Bond, and Carol Bouquet. Next you've got Maud Adams, so Maud Adams playing the Octopussy, and obviously she appeared in The Man with the Golden Gun in the kind of role of the sacrificial lamb, and again under the power of Scaramanga, the coercive control of Scaramanga, and then Bond, she comes over to Bond's side because she believes he can rescue her, which he fails to do. Maud Adams very good as Octopussy. I've got to say I think Maud Adams is stunning in The Man with the Golden Gun. One of the most beautiful of all Bond actresses. It's very good in Octopussy. Again, a businesswoman, a strong character. And a bit of a legend in Bond circles because she's been in 2 films. I think 1985 is the nadir of Bond women. Tanya Roberts playing, I forget the name of the character. I just don't think Tanya Roberts, I don't think American Bond women work as well. I've always liked Tiffany Case, but other than that, I don't know why, I just think it's better when they're European. But she is just kind of not necessarily underwritten, just an acting. She's a TV actress through and through, Tony Robinson. She just doesn't really have the chops. But there's a lot of problems with View to Kill. But one of them isn't Grace Jones, the villainess. She's very good in her. Obviously, she goes over to the other side. I should have mentioned that the Bond villainess is a common character. Obviously, you've got the great Rosa Klebb character, and then Fiona Volpe, probably the original sort of sexy Bond bad girl. I forget the name of the actress now, in Thunderball. And then there's another character, is it Helga in You Only Live Twice? But it's a kind of fairly crappy reworking of the Fiona Volpe character. But Grace Jones, very, very striking, very effective. And then you get to the Living Daylights, and obviously in the AIDS era, they decide to make Dalton a one woman Bond. Rightly so, I think, and I think there was criticism of it, he stopped smoking and going PC, but Dalton was ahead of his time in that, and it's very, very touching and effective, his relationship with the Miriam Darbo character. I think I've come to appreciate her performance more over the years. I think at first I thought she was never one of my favourites, but she's very good, she's very effective in the role. There's a kind of lovely innocence, and she gets involved in action at the end. She's kind of, initially you think she's going to be a bit, I don't want to use the word feckless, but, Bond's just going to have to protect her all the time, but he doesn't, and I like her, and again, he kind of uses her as an asset, but then he falls for her, and I think that's really well done, and people have sort of said it's quite Hitchcockian how that's done. Another great thing about Miriam Darbo, she'll always turn up and do things about Bond, lovely Bond documentaries when it's time for the new Bond film. So a real ally of the Bond films as well in that respect. So a really improved character that's got better for me. Then you've got the kind of 2 Bond women of License to Kill. You've got the Carey Lowell CIA agent. So again, a sort of taking the CIA thing, like the Lois Charles character, a kick-ass character. They kind of address the, she's not taking any shot off Bond, but then she poses as secretary, she cuts her hair. She's pretty good. I just think the character's not written quite well enough, the Pam Bouvier character. Then you got Talisa Soto, who's Sanchez's girlfriend, and she's kind of a victim of his abuse, his physical abuse. And again, it's that thing where she goes over to Bond's side. She's in a controlling relationship with the villain, like I say, and then she comes over to Bond's side. Neither of these characters, they're not bad, but they're not great. And I think one of the weaker aspects of Licensing, a film that I like and admire in a lot of ways, is those characters. Bond films are always better where the female character is well written and is strong and well acted. And I'd be remiss to say, it's as a man, when you've got a beautiful woman in the Bond films, it's great, but it's always better when they're a better character. So yeah, we come to expect out with Bonds. Then you come to GoldenEye, a 6-year break, and I think these are two of the most successful Bond women in this film. You've got the great Xenia on the top, a great role for Famke Janssen, stupid name, but probably the best Bond bad girl character. Really quite dangerous, sexually dangerous, has a proper good fight with Bond that's kind of sexually charged, which I think is very good. Famke Janssen had a very, I think she was the first actress in a Bond film to kind of have like a really good career from there on. She was so effective in her role. She's been in X-Men. She's very good in Nip Tuck series. Loads of film roles taken. Very, very strong, striking, beautiful woman, but a really striking screen presence and a very, very good actress. And then Isabella Scorupco as Natasha Simonova. Again, hasn't done much work, but very good, really good. And I like the way she's beautiful, but her character's really spiky. It integrates her into the plot really well. Obviously, she's the kind of computer operator at the GoldenEye place, GoldenEye base. She gets on the action at the end. She's very, very good. You kind of forget how good those women were. And that was one of the strong things of that film. Brosnan was really good, great Bond debut, very, very good Bond film. Just missing a great villain, good villain, but not great, and terrible musical score. But the two Bond women, really knock out of the park for me on that. And then your next film, of course, is Tomorrow Never Dies. Again, copying the formula. Terry Hatcher is in the sacrificial lamb role, but good, very beautiful, effective, well known from Superman at the time. And Michelle Yeoh kind of getting on the Hong Kong film trend at that time. Savvy casting now. Obviously, Michelle Yeoh's a great screen presence, and is I think the character's not as well written. I think Michelle Yeoh's charisma carries it through. Again, she's an agent for I can't remember. It's the Chinese. I think it is. Could be wrong. Yes, she is. But she's really good and is kind of equal of Bond, and she's probably getting on the action at the end. And that's a common thing from here on in. You'll see that popping up in the Bond films and in the new one. Then you've got well, there's not enough. Denise Richards, terrible casting. I don't think much of Denise Richards as an actress, but she's too much the prom queen, and she's too young. I mean, it's just getting a bit sleazy with Pierce. And that's one of the failings of the film. You've got the Electra King character, who's actually the villainess, who's an interesting character and well played by Sophie Marceau. Not massive on her performance. But I think Denise Richards is probably my least favourite of all the Bond women in terms of character. And then they continue casting American character, and they cast Carrie Bellion. I think this is the first instance where they cast an actress, they cast an Oscar-winning actress of real calibre, but unfortunately Carrie Berry's character, I just don't like the way it's written. Again, she's the CIA kick-ass agent, and Halle Berry's really good. She does the best in the role. There's just something, but there's a lot of problems with Die Another Day. You've got Rosamund Pike as the bad girl, and Rosamund Pike's become a much better actress than she is in that the writing's poor. So it just doesn't come across that great. Then Daniel comes in, and Eva Green, probably one of the greatest, if not the greatest, Bond women characters. Vesper Lynd, brilliantly acted, the brilliant scene on the train. And really interesting. Eva Green's such an interesting looking actress. She's a beautiful woman, but she's interesting. She's not a typical sort of Bond woman, and that's great, because James Bond, it's kind of more interesting. He'd fall for someone more interesting, And then there's the Solange character played by the Italian actress. I forget her name. She's good. She plays a sacrificial lamb. Effectively Bond is really cruel with her in a way. He gets off of her, gets information, and she's murdered. Again, that's a common thing, the sacrificial lamb, as they say in the Bond films. Then Vesper Lynd. Then you go into Quantum of Solace. There's loads of things wrong with Quantum of Solace, the script, and unfortunately Olga Kurylenko comes on. She's a good actress. I hate the way they dress her at the start. She's got the big gold bling, and she's dressed very kind of Russian bling, and I think it does a disservice. Just from an aesthetic point of view, but a character, she does the best of her character, but like everything in Quantum of Solace, everything's underwritten because there wasn't a script. And then there's the terrible use of Gemma Arterton, a really good British actress who would make a fine Bond woman. And then the cast as Agent Fields, and there's that terrible, she gets off with Bond, and it's like really dated, the Daniel era Bond shouldn't, we've moved beyond that, and then she ends up covered in oil, and it's a reference to Goldfinger. And then, obviously, Goldfinger, the Shirley Eaton character, Jill Masterson, the classic sort of, first murdered Bond woman by Goldfinger. Again, a woman under Goldfinger's control. And then Tilly Masterson, her sister, is murdered by Oddjob, becomes a sacrificial lamb, so to speak. Jumping backwards there. Then we move on. Where are we up to? Skyfall. So what's interesting about this is M, the casting of M, Judi Dench back in GoldenEye. Probably the greatest M, even as great as Bernard Lee was, Robert Brown was solid, Ray Fiennes is very good, Judi Dench is a fantastic M, and she becomes the Bond woman in it, and it's a brilliant sort of play on that. And then Moneypenny gets on the action, and she's great, Naomi Harris. Unfortunately, Naomi Harris is used less in Spectre and less so in the new film, which is a shame, because she's a very good actress, and her Moneypenny's great. Probably Lois Maxwell will always have an amazing place in Bond history, but I think the Naomi Harris Moneypenny's, the top one. But Skyfall, you've got the criticism of the character plays at Bernice Bujol. No, that's not the name of the actress. Seraphine is the name of the character anyway, and then she's under the control of Javier Bardem. She's got a tattoo. It looks like she's kind of been people trafficked, and then Bond seduced her in the shower. There's a lot of controversy around that time. And then she's killed in cold blood. And Bond doesn't seem that angry about it. He does use her, and I wish that would be better handled, really. She becomes a sacrificial lamb. And then you're on to Spectre and the Madeline Swan character. I feel like Lea Seydoux is a very good actress. You've seen Blue is the Warmest Colour. But I feel her character's underwritten. I don't feel there's a great chemistry between her and Bond. And that's one of the things that rings hollow about Spectre. Hers is potentially an interesting character. Initially, it starts off well, but then she just ends up like the damsel in distress. Much better in No Time to Die. I won't give any spoilers, but, that's better. And that's improved, so to speak. And in the new film, you've got the female agent played by Lashana Lynch, and she's really good. So yeah, that's the kind of women of Bond. At times they've reflected the times, at other times they haven't, and have been out of the time. And then there's been accusations of sexism, and sometimes when they've tried to combat the sexism, they've still been sexist in some ways. But I was sort of picking my favourites. I think Miriam Darbo and Jill St. John just missed the cut. But my sort of 10 favourites are Claudia Norga, Maud Adams, Eva Green, Isabella Scorupco, Carol Bouquet, Barbara Bach, Jane Seymour, Diana Rigg, Honor Blackman and Ursula Andress. I think Eva Green and Dana Rigg would have to stand out there because they're the two female Bond characters who've truly found love with James Bond. Ursula Andress for starting the whole thing. Jane Seymour's always been a personal fave of mine. So there we go. That's my little troll through the women of Bond. There's probably some things I missed out there. Who's your favourite Bond girl, Bond woman? Answers in the comments. Cheers. Thanks very much.